wanted to eat those nachos?
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
They're really good. Sorry. It was a bad idea.
Hello. I'm Teresa. Sorry, I thought he's taking a photo of me.
Hi guys. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, and I'm not usually afraid of public speaking, but this time it's from my heart, so it's a little bit different. This poem that I'm about to read, I wrote it in one sitting. I had so much going on in my brain at the time that I just needed an outlet, and that's how this poem eventuated. And I wrote it about a lot of things, namely mental illness, also identity, and about second-guessing yourself. But yeah, it's about lots, and I hope you enjoy it. This poem is called Someone Close to My Heart, and I just like to dedicate this poem to someone who has always been close to my heart. No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. 17:5:10. When it turned over to midnight, I gave up. With a sigh, I rummaged through the medicine cabinet, settled for the pills for insomnia, blew my nose, gulped them down, listened to my brother's love troubles, then immersed myself into colouring in my book that I spent far too much money on while watching my fish swim around in circles, missing his late friend, while listening to Like Us. No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the tax collector with holes in his shoes, always wanting to play the guitar? Or the girl with too much jewellery on, eating at the soup kitchen? What about the girl who thinks she is finally alone? Now. No, there's a Facebook notification. Phew. No, now you're alone. No, there's another one. No, now you're alone. Am I? Phew, another notification. No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the doctor, alone on a run with her dog? No, she won't ever run by herself again. What about the millionaire with pimples, smoking under a bridge? What about the waitress in the dentist office, perfecting her smile once again? She doesn't remember what her real smile looks like. She's forgotten how to smile her own. She lost that long ago. But what about the nervous mother with the frizzy hair arguing to the pharmacist about plasters? She used to be good at everything she tried until a one-night stand twisted her from the inside out. What about the birthday girl sitting by the lake, looking out, alone? It wasn't that people forgot. They remembered. What about the sunburnt boy with the orange hair and freckles next to the seagulls pecking at each other more than the food? Or the girl who will never trust a policeman again? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who believed him when he said, "Be mine forever"? But no, they didn't even last through the winter. She remembers the days of hope and how little she knew about the word never. Never, never is forever. No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the woman who sees you before she closes her eyes and falls to sleep? She sees you. When she wakes up, just before she opens her eyes, she sees you. Or was that all a dream? But you're her happiness, her sanity. She sees you always because she needs to. She needs her happiness, she needs her sanity, but most of all, she needs you. Wait, who? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who can only talk in cliches because that's all she believes in right now? Or the man who says trust no one, but he said trust everyone, but she said trust no one? What about the 2nd of March 2014? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who thinks everything is a sign? It's a sign! No, it's science. Or is it a sign? Is it both? No, you can't have both. Can you? But no, no, no. This poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who lives behind her stereotype, fooling herself that this is her identity? She lives behind her haircut, her jewellery, her loud music. She likes the fact that people can't quite understand her. She lives behind all of these things, but at the same time she is running. She is always running from the truth, but it's gaining on her. Her running is my yoga. Her running is your father. Her running is your sugar in your coffee. Her running is your butterflies in your tummy. Her running is your friend telling you you can't do it, Her running is your sleeping, listening to the rain droplets hitting the tin roof. Her running is your skinny dipping. Her running is my pet dog named Roxy. Her running is your mother. Her running is your daughter smiling at the stranger who always sits on the park bench feeding the ducks every Wednesday at 10:31 a.m. Her running is that brief moment of eye contact when the stranger opens the door for you. Her running is my old girl best friend named Phyllis. Her running is your uncle's sister's brother's nephew's stuffed toy coyote named Greg. Her running is you hearing your best friend saying, "I am going to die alone." Her running is when people look at you for laughing for absolutely no reason. But she has grown tired of running. So tired. But she is too scared to start over again and see the person she could be instead. No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the woman who's constantly saying, "This is the last straw," but she's too proud to do anything about it? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about Gilby? You always used to say, "Long black coffee please and an ashtray." Thank you for never making a fuss. Thank you for always bringing your dishes in. I miss you, Gilby, and your reliable visits. But it's okay now, because whenever I make a long black coffee, I smile. I smile just for you. But no, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the nurse eating a burger, 2nd of the day, 5th of the week, tomorrow's Wednesday? But what about the poor man with millions to his name in the coffee shop every day? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl at the bus stop, beeped at, whistled at, never taken into consideration to never judge a book by its cover? They stripped her and now she's back to square one. Or the guy who can't face the girl because he doesn't want her to see him cry? What about the girl who thought she bet it, but in the end that was her way of digging her own grave? What about the boy who is full of false promises? How would we know if he might be able to keep the next one? But no, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who, when asked what she's afraid of, says she isn't afraid of anything anymore? What about the girl who everybody calls a flirt? How are we to decide if she has found love yet? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl making a net to catch her every time she falls down? What about the girl who draws maps so that whenever she gets lost she can remember where she is? What about the girl who builds walls? Not vertical walls, but walls that jut out on a 45-degree angle and continue upwards and upwards and upwards so that nobody, not even God, can get up them? What about the girl who paints pictures that only she can see for every time she feels alone? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the slug who lost his shell? Or the girl with regrowth who lost her favourite white leather boots? Or the goldfish who the sun turned white, stripped of his title? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the boy wearing women's sunglasses, shrugging off his drug dealer friends? What about the hen who stopped laying, the horse who stopped racing, the infant who stopped crying? But no, wait, what about that sunburned boy with the orange hair next to the seagulls pecking at each other more than the food? They should eat each other instead, then there would be some food to spare. What about the girl with bags under her eyes eating at the soup kitchen telling everyone she has no regrets? No, this poem is dedicated to nobody. But what about the girl who always tells everybody to reach for the stars but is always wondering what happens when you fall back down? Or the boy who says you should be honest, but a little white lie doesn't hurt, right? Or the man who thinks when he overcommits he's a workaholic, but when he undercommits he's lazy? What about the guy who says to the girl, "I fucking love you," and the girl responds with, did you just say the F word? But no, this poem is dedicated to nobody. No. This poem is dedicated to me. Thank you.
Well, I don't know what to say, actually. It was actually quite brilliant.
Thank you.
I have nothing to say, but to nobody. Right, next we got Phil. Around. I can hear him. Were you on the toilet?
They were looking at you. I was about Phyllis. So good. Hey, now thanks for the video. Did you get it?
I don't think I stopped it.